Tom said, I coach the wrestling team here at EJA. I have a business from woodworker. I make furniture and art out of wood here in Athens.
Very good, too.
And I'm a writer also. I'm under contract doing a novel right now. I do some sports writing and stuff. My mom's right there. She's always been one very supportive of me, especially my faith. And that's my daughter, Twyla. She's watching her day and night. And my son, Drew, is at Alps Road Elementary, where my wife works. They're there today. They couldn't be here, but they'll see it. So I was completely caught off guard when Father Tom called me and asked me to do this. I had just finished a long run, long workout. I was changing to get ready to go for a long swim. And my phone's ringing, and then, as my mom can attest, it's pretty rare that I answer my phone, but it just happened to be right there next to it. There's Father Tom. I don't know if you know me, but I work at the Catholic Center. He's always kidding. That's one of my favorite things about him. And he told me about these Lenten reflections and asked me if I would be one of the speakers. And after a very long pause, I told him that he felt like I was the right man for the job, that I'd be honored to do it. So thank you, Father Tom. I'm honored to be here. Yes, sir. So after the conversation, I went and I was swimming laps and thinking a lot about it, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say. And didn't know what to think, and then it popped in my mind that this is awesome. Because as Father Tom can attest, I'm an odd bird, so it won't be any surprise to you when I tell you that Lent is my favorite time of the liturgical calendar. My Uncle Steve, I heard him once talking about me. I was probably 9 or 10, and he was telling somebody that he knew that I could do anything I wanted to do because I practiced self-discipline. To me, at the time, and still, it was one of the greatest compliments I'd ever been given, and it's true. That's what I like to do, practice self-discipline, and that's why I like Lent so much. It was an excuse for me to continue to hone myself and sharpen myself physically and mentally, and I never really shied away and went after the easy things. I really pushed myself to find things that I did not want to give up and forced myself to do it. And but in 2013, I went one step further. I didn't just give something up. I decided to also pray the rosary every day. I challenged myself to hone myself spiritually as well as physically. And, you know, it was a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be. I had prayed the rosary a lot growing up, but it was only in times of inspiration and desperation. I've never done it in a regimented, daily, disciplined practice. And it was particularly difficult for me because I'm the wrestling coach, and the wrestling season coincides with Lent. And all the tournaments leading up to and including the SEC championships and the national championships. And that was where it was the most difficult, was the national championships, because it's a week-long tournament. Travel, we fly to it, staying in a hotel room with the wrestlers. We get up early in the morning, go to weigh-ins, wrestling, morning, day, and night. I'm working out with them at night to get their weight back down so we can get up in the morning early and start all over again. And while I'm there, I'm in the hotel, I'm in the arena, other coaches, other wrestlers, fans, they know who I am. Anytime I were to try to sneak off in a corner somewhere, somebody would want to come up and talk to me. It was very difficult for me just to find the time to do this and to remember that I had made this promise to myself to do it, and ultimately to work up the courage to just do it in public, because I couldn't get away sometimes. But I did it. And in doing so, I developed a habit that didn't end when Lent ended. And so Monday after Easter, when I was about lunchtime, I was in a funk that day, and I really couldn't understand what was going on, what was different. And I just thought to myself, well, I hadn't prayed today, so I did it again. And I never stopped. And eventually it just continued to grow. We were praying the rosary, the Chapel of Divine Mercy, just Our Father, Hail Mary, Glory Be, any prayer that I ever knew would just come to me, and I prayed them all day, every day. And I really didn't even notice. It was almost involuntary. It just kept happening. I was just always doing this in my mind, silently to myself. Most people didn't even know it. I didn't even know it. It really wasn't made aware to me until about a half a year later, that fall of 2013, when I went on a fishing trip to upstate New York with my dad. We went to the salmon run with a group of guys, friends of his who have known me most of my life. And we were there in the river, standing in the river at 4:30 a.m., waiting for the sun to come up at 5:30, and then we could make our first legal cast. And while we were there, this other group of guys come up, and they decide that they want our spot. Their guide starts talking to our guide, and in less than a minute, things are getting out of hand really fast. They're screaming at each other, and this group of guys behind us starts singling themselves off with each one of us. And sure enough, one guy is standing right directly behind me, like he wants to fight me for this spot. And I just prayed. I started praying the rosary silently in my mind. I never even turned around. And no less than 90 seconds, or no more than 90 seconds, here come the DNR. What's going on here, guys? And they start pulling IDs, asking questions. And they come to the conclusion that we had the right of way, that our guy could tell them to leave if he wanted to. And he said, no, I don't want to tell them to leave, but they can't tell us we have to leave. Long story short, everything's solved, nobody's pride's hurt. It was the perfect scenario, perfect ending to the circumstance, and we all fished side by side in the rain, had a great day. For the record, I did land an awesome, huge got a picture to prove it. And that night at dinner, we were all joking around, telling stories about the day. And one of these guys who knows me, knows about my background and what I'm capable of, starts joking and saying, when that guy stood behind Drew, I thought it was all over. He said, there's 200 people on this river and you have picked the wrong one to mess with. He thought I was going to hip toss him into the river and get out, and everything was going to blow out of proportion and get completely out of hand. And then everyone started telling their hypothetical of how I was going to handle this situation. And I was laughing along with all of them, but at the time, you know, internally it finally occurred to me how strange this was. Not that I really would have fought somebody over a fishing spot, but that in the past my reaction would have easily to have been at least to turn around, to face this man, to put myself in a physical position where I was prepared to defend myself if necessary. But I didn't. This time, my knee-jerk reaction was just to pray and trust in God. And obviously, I made the right decision. And that's when I realized that this prayer, this practice of prayer every day had changed me at a primal level. And so I continued. I had learned to hear the voice in the silence. And so the next year in 2014 in Lent, when I heard the voice again, clearly calling me to start going to the secular Franciscans, I didn't hesitate. I didn't know what I was doing. Honestly, I still don't know what I'm doing. All I know is that I love it, and God willing, I'm going to keep going for the rest of my life. And with them, I learned another form of prayer, which is the Liturgy of the Hours. And it was probably 1 or 2 weeks after Father Tom asked me to be here and speak with y'all that in the evening prayer, the reading was from the first chapter of James, and there's one sentence that said, humbly welcome the word which has taken root in you. And for the first time, I could put into words the changes that I was going through. That I could explain to someone else exactly what I was feeling and what was happening to me. That I had humbly welcomed the word which had taken root in me. And the fact that we're all here on a Tuesday at lunch, at Lent, listening to me of all people, is the fact that we have all humbly welcomed the word which has taken root in us. If I can offer anyone any advice, it would be, don't fight. Thank you.